Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Speak to Influence podcast. I'm Karen Sachs. Today, I have a test for you. It'll only take 30 seconds. There's no preparation required, no studying, just 30 seconds. If I ask you to explain something important to you, can you do it in 30 seconds? Can you tell me about your job, a recommendation, a project, an idea, a recommendation, why something worked, why it didn't? What can you tell me in 30 seconds? And will it be clear to the people who are listening to you? One of the most important things in the business community today is not knowing more. It's the ability to communicate what you know clearly. I know a lot of smart people, and their problem is not knowledge, their problem is translation. Someone asks them a question, and they start to explain it, not the main point. They start to explain history, and then they explain their explanation, and then they add some more background, then they clarify their first point. Then they think of something else they want to say, and then finally they get to the point of the question. That is not good communication. It is important that people understand you because the statement, I understand you, builds trust. If I understand you, I'm more inclined to trust you. And if I understand your recommendation, I'm more inclined to trust your recommendation and act on it. So, can you do it? If someone asked you, what's the status of the project? Can you do it in 30 seconds? Can you say something like, we've identified two tech issues, and that has pushed us back about a week. That's all. Two issues, pushed back a week. Not a full explanation of, well, we met last Thursday and we thought about a lot of things and we thought we might need to research something. No, none of that is important. What is important is we've identified two tech issues and it's pushed us back a week. That's saying something in less than 30 seconds, not 5 minutes. Because organized thoughts sound confident. Answering with a clear point sounds credible. And people can follow your thinking makes you sound more capable. So today I have 3 words that I want you to remember. Those words are point, proof, purpose. First of all, point. Point is, what is it? I ask a question, answer the question, just say it. What is most important? So something like, if someone asks the question, should we launch next month? The answer is yes or no. That's the point. The second is proof. That would be an explanation, an example, data, something that would be helpful to support why you said no. That goes back to we've identified two tech problems, and it's pushed us back a week. So you have your proof, two tech problems. And then what has it done? It's pushed us back a week. And finally, we have purpose. Purpose is what happens next. What happens next is I recommend that we take the next 2 weeks to address the problem to make sure that we're ready before the launch. So you have your point, no. You have your proof. We've identified two tech problems that have pushed us back a week. 3, I recommend that we spend the next 2 weeks addressing the problems and then know that we're ready for launch. That's the purpose. It's that simple. Proof or point, proof, purpose. That's executive communication. That's concise, that is clear, and it's useful information. And that's what's important, useful. Complex thinking is impressive. Complex communication is not. Let's do some more examples. So, say an interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself." Well, where do you start? Do you start with where you were born? Do you start with college? Here's an example of how you can handle it. Point: I spent the last 7 years leading tech teams address outcomes that were failing. 2, your proof. The greatest success I had was fixing inefficient systems and apps. And 3, the purpose. I'm ready to take on a larger team that will help companies upscale. Your point, your proof, your purpose. It's that simple. Now, here's another example. If someone says, "What do you do?" You could say, "I'm a consultant." Well, that's really vague. You can say, "I work in HR." Well, that's really vague. Or, "I'm in technology." That's vague because there are so many tech companies. But maybe if you said, "I help growing companies fix operational systems that help them make money as they scale." Now I know what you do. I've given the point, the proof, and the purpose. It's not as complicated as it sounds. That's really important as you move into leadership roles because leaders need to tell you what matters, what doesn't matter. What actions are we going to take next? What are the risks? What are the opportunities? If you're an ESL speaker, you may have concerns that people don't always understand you as clearly as they would like. And a lot of people assume that that has to do with pronunciation. And it may, because clarity is critical. But another form of clarity is structure. And that is something that everyone, both ESL speakers and native English speakers, can usually improve on. The structure of your communication. And that's where your point, proof, and purpose can help you structure. Just 3 points, 3 things that you need to say. If you are aware of of AI, that is another place where it's important because AI can pronounce and produce so much information, 20 pages of data, but it takes a human to communicate that clearly. And clearly is the magic word there. So over the next week, I want you to take 30 seconds and practice saying things. Get rid of the extraneous words, get rid of the jargon. Be clear and useful. What do they really need to know? So tell them in the point, here's what you need to know. In the proof, here's the example or explanation or data that supports my point. And what's the purpose? What are the next steps? Don't try to sound smarter. Make it easier for people to see how smart you really are. That's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful, and remember, point, proof, and purpose. It will help you organize your communication in everything that you do. Have a great week, everyone.